So the next question is 1.3, and 1.3 had said the coach uses the list regressions line to set the target for the minimum number of push-ups by each team player or team member according to their weight. Let me repeat that. The coach uses the regression line. The coach uses the regression line to set the target for the minimum number of push-ups by each team member according to their weight. So the coach is going to set a minimum utilizing the regression line. So because we now have the equation of the regression line, this is what the coach is going to do. So he's going to utilize the equation of the regression line to set a minimum for the number of push-ups that each player is expected to make or do. Okay, for example, let us say the coach is going to expect somebody who weighs 1 kilogram. It is not possible. So nobody that weighs 1 kilogram can actually do any push-ups at all, and also they cannot play for any rugby team. I'm just making an example. So let us say, for example, a player has only weighs 1 kilogram, right? So the player that weighs only 1 kilogram, the coach is going to predict or is going to expect a certain number of push-ups for them. Let us make an example. So let us say the number of push-ups that a player that weighs 1 kilogram is going to be equal to 39.46 minus 0.59. So the number of push-ups, the weight of the player is going to be represented by X. So whenever we see X, we're going to substitute 1 kilogram, which is just 1. So that means that the coach is going to expect the minimum number of push-ups that's going to be done by a player that weighs 1 kilogram to be equal to, so we're going to have 39.46 minus 0.59 multiplied by 1, which is still 0.59. So we're going to have 39.46 minus 0.59. So 16 minus 9 is 7, and then 13 minus 5 is 8, and then we have 8 here. Therefore, 38.87. So since we're talking about the number of push-ups, we cannot have 38.87 push-ups. Therefore, this is 39 push-ups. 39 push-ups. So a coach or the coach is going to expect the minimum number of push-ups done or made by a player that weighs 1 kilogram to be equal to 39 push-ups. So this is what 1.3 is telling us. The minimum number of push-ups that the coach is going to expect each player to do or make according to the regression line is. So 1 kilogram player, a player that weighs 1 kilogram, is going to be expected by the coach to make a minimum of 39 push-ups. What about a player that weighs 10 kilograms or maybe 9? Let us say 9. For a player that weighs 9 kilograms, this is the minimum number of push-ups that a coach is going to expect the player to make according to the equation line. So we're going to say 39.46 minus 0.59 times 9. I don't know what 0.59 times 9 is, but I can actually calculate 59 times 9. So we have 81.8, and then we have 45 plus 8, that's 53. So we're going to say 1, 2. So we're going to have 5.31. So 5.31 plus 39 plus 39.46. Not actually plus, minus. So we're going to minus that. So 6 minus 1 is 5. 4 minus 1, minus 3 is 1. And then 9 minus 5 is 4. And then 30. Right? So that means that the coach is going to expect a player that weighs 9 kilograms to make a minimum of 34.15. Since this is number of push-ups, we cannot have 34.15. Therefore, it is 35 push-ups. Therefore, the coach is expecting a player that weighs 9 kilograms to make a minimum of 35 push-ups. Therefore, the less you weigh, okay? So the less you weigh, the more number of push-ups that the coach is going to expect you to make or do. Okay? So the more you weigh, the less number of push-ups the coach is going to expect you to make or do. Right? So now I hope that you understand what is really happening here and what this is really saying. So that first statement, this is what it is saying. So in statistics, you have to make sure that you understand English. You have to make sure that you understand what they are saying and pay attention to every little thing that they say, especially if they write a paragraph. For example, that first statement or that first sentence is very, very important and vital for you to be able to understand what they're going to want you to calculate, okay? So they're saying the coach uses the least regression line, which means this equation, to set the target for the minimum number of push-ups by each team player according to their weight, okay? So that means a coach is expecting a player that weighs a certain kilograms, a player that weighs a certain number of kilograms to make a minimum of a certain number of push-ups. So I hope that is clear. Right, so the saying predict, of course we talked about prediction. So this is going to help us to predict. We're never going to be sure. This is statistics. Statistics works with probability. Statistics and probability work hand in hand. So they are always there to predict. Right, so we're going to predict, okay, they send to us, predict the number of push-ups that a member of the team who weighs 29 kilograms should do to meet the target. That means wherever we see X, we're going to substitute 29 into this equation to predict the number of push-ups that a player that weighs 29 kilograms is expected to make. Okay, so now let us actually calculate that. So 1.3, we're going to say we have y is equal to 39.46 minus 0.59x. So wherever we see x, which represents the weight, we're going to substitute 29 kilograms. So we're going to be like y, which is the number of push-ups, is equal to 39.46 minus 0.59 multiplied by 29. So we're going to press this into the calculator to determine the number of push-ups. But because I'm ambitious, I'm just going to do it manually. So you're welcome to press the calculator to solve. So we're going to be like 29 multiplied by 59. So we have 81 and we have 8 here. And then we have 18 and then we have 26. We have 0 here. We have 45, we have 4 here. We have 10 and then 14. That means we have 5. We have 1, 1, and then we have 7, and then 1. Because there's 2 decimal places only, then it's going to be like 17.11. Therefore, we have 17.11, which is going to be subtracted from 36.46. So 6 minus 1 is 5, 4 minus 1 is 3, and then 16 minus 7 is 9, and then 2 minus 1 is 1. Therefore, 19.35. Okay? So that means that the number of push-ups that this person who weighs 29 kilograms is expected to make by the coach is 19.35. But because we don't have 19.35 push-ups, that means it is actually 20 push-ups that this player that weighs 29 kilograms is expected to make by the coach. So that means this player who weighs 29 kilograms is expected to make 20 push-ups by the coach. So I hope that we are clear with that and you understand how we have actually calculated the number of push-ups here. And also so far we're still on the same page. So this is how we get our 7 marks. Is it 7 marks? No, it is 6 because the first one is 3 marks, this one is 1 mark, so that's 4, then plus 2. So that means so far we have actually gotten our 6 marks. So we only need to accumulate or obtain 4 more marks to get the total in question 1. So because I don't actually have enough space, I'm going to go to the next page, but I'm going to need you to keep note or keep in mind the regression line or the scatter plot and also the information that have been given. However, still, because I feel like you're going to forget the data that have been given, I'm going to draw the table again. Okay, so please allow me to go to the next page to do that. Excuse me for a second. Alright, so here's the table, although I was not able to show everything. So I actually shown about 14 numbers. The last one I was not able to show in the screen, as you can see that it is hidden, but we had 31 and 20. So please recognize that we have 31 and 20, even though it's not going to be part of the screen. Actually, let me actually make sure that it is part of the screen. It doesn't matter if, you already know that we have the weight in kilograms here, which is the X, and the number of push-ups per minute, which is the Y. So don't worry about that. Right, so yeah, this is our data that we've been given here, which is the table. Now let us get into 1.4. So far we have answered 1.1, and we said that the equation we have A is equal to 39.46. And we said that B is equal to negative 0.59. And we said that the equation is Y is equal to 39.46 minus 0.59x. So that's 1.1. And then 1.2, we said that, what did 1.2 want? Okay, 1.2 want then the correlation coefficient, which we said is negative 0.80. And then 1.3, we just answered it to be Y is equal to 39.46 minus 0.59. So it was a player that was 29 kilograms of weight, which we said is going to be equal to 19 point something. What did we say it is equal to? Let me just quickly confirm. All right, so we said 19.35. So 19.35, which is 20 push-ups. Right, now let's go to 1.4. So 1.4 says, write down the mean number of push-ups for the given data. So first of all, they said, write down. So they did not say calculate. Let me actually shift a little bit to the, okay. So they didn't say calculate. They said, write down. So if they said calculate the mean, then we was going to say mean is equal to, and then we was going to say the number of data, we was going to say the sum of the data values divided by the number of data values. Okay, so we say sum of data values, and when I say data values, I'm talking about the X, then divided by the number of data values, which is 15. Okay, so that means we say 34 plus 32 plus 40 plus 27, all of them, the sum of all of them, and then we say divided by the number of them, which is 1, 2, 3, 15. Okay, so if they said calculate, this is what we would do. But because they said write it down, we don't need to do that. What you're going to do is go to the calculator and then find what the mean is and then write it down for 1 mark. Okay, so this is how we collect our 7th mark, because so far we have collected 6 marks. So this is how we collect our 7th mark. Okay, right, so let me just go to the calculator, share the screen, and then show you how we're going to find the mean in the calculator. So please just excuse me for a second. Alright, so we're still going to do the same thing. We're going to press shift and then 1. And then, of course, we are going to press 5, which is the regression line. Then after pressing 5, which is the regression line, we're going to go to number 4 here. We're going to go to number 4, which is the mean. I don't know how it's going to show you on the Casio. I actually forgotten how it's going to show you on the Casio. Okay, but it's going to have something related to X. So you must have X, not Y. Okay, so you're going to find the mean of the Y. Right, so you're going to click press on number 4, which is the mean. Okay, so we're going to do that together. So press on number 4, and that's going to tell you what the mean is. So that means the mean is 32.98. So because they didn't say to us calculate, they said write it down. This is what you're going to do. Go to the calculator, find out what the mean is, and then write it down in your book. So that is how simple this thing is, and that is for 1 mark. You should not lose this 1 mark. Okay, right, now that we have actually determined what the mean is, which is 32.98, we're going to go back to the book to write it down and then also go to the other question. So please excuse me for a second as I go back to the book. All right, now that we are here in the book, we're going to write down what the mean is. So we have calculated the mean to be 32.98. So let us write it down. The mean is 32.98. So 32.98. All right, but do you want us to confirm that? If we have to confirm it, we'll say 32 plus 34 plus 32 plus 40 plus 27 plus 33 plus 28 plus 27, 55. All of this divided by 15. If you'd like for us to do that, we can also do it. Okay, let us actually do it just for the fun of it, right? So let us get the sum of all these x data values and then divide it by 15 to determine the mean, right? So let us go. I don't know how I'm going to do this. Should I actually go to the calculator again and then, yeah, let us actually go back to the calculator to do it manually this time. So we're going to do this manually. So we're going to have the, what is it? We're going to have the, the fraction, and then we're going to say 34. Let's go together. 34 plus 32 plus 40 plus 27. Actually, let us say 32 plus 34 plus, okay, 34 plus 32. 34 plus 32 plus 40 plus 27 plus 33 plus 28 plus 27 plus 55 plus 39 plus 44 plus 30 plus 57 plus 28 plus 32 plus 31. Right, so all of this, they give us 537. So we have 537. So we're going to be like 537 divided by 15. It must give us 32.98. Let's see. Why is it giving us 35.8? It must give us 32.98. Why did we get wrong? 35.8. It must not give us 35.8. It must give us 32.98. Let us try to do it together again. So 34 plus 32. Okay, not that. 34 plus 32. 66 plus 40. 106 plus 27. 133 plus 33, okay, plus 28, plus 27, plus 55, plus 39, plus 44, plus 30, plus 57, plus 28, plus 32, plus 31. Okay, that means the previous answer was actually correct. So it was still 537. So 537 is actually correct. So now let us divide this by 15. I don't know why we're getting 35.8. 35.8, but when you say shift and then 1, okay, let me see. Okay. Oh my god. Oh yeah, I see what has happened. Okay, yeah. The mean is actually 35.8 after confirming, after doing it manually, okay? So yeah, it is actually 35.8. I remember what has actually caused this to happen. So what has actually caused this to happen is because I said 20 multiplied by the mean. I said 20 multiplied by the mean. This is what we have gotten 32.8 from. So we have said 20 multiplied by the mean. So this is not what we were supposed to do. So what we are supposed to do is say shift and then 1, and then not the regression. We're supposed to go to the variable. Okay, so we're supposed to go to the variable and then the 1. So yeah, I'm so sorry guys that I actually messed up with the mean, but the mean is 35.8. So that means that doing it manually was actually a way that helped us to confirm the answer. So I'm glad that I actually considered doing it manually, because I was gonna lead you astray. So I'm so sorry about that. But the mean is 35.8, and I was supposed to go back to the variance or variable because we were done with the regression. So I hope that you're going to forgive me with that. So the mean is 35.8. I'm so sorry. Let me go back to the book to fix that. All right, I'm so sorry. The mean is actually 35.8 after confirming from doing it manually. So 35.80. So that is what the mean is. I'm so sorry guys. I'm also human being and I make mistakes. I feel so bad. But I'm sure that one learner could actually tell that nah, this is not actually correct. So shout out to that one learner that could actually tell that we are actually on the wrong side of this. Anyway, now that we have fixed this, let us go to the second last question, which is 1.5. So 1.5, it said the players trained hard during the season. At the end of the season, the coach reported that each player was able to do 5 more push-ups per minute than they did at the beginning of the season. How does the increase in the number of push-ups influence the standard deviation of the data? The answer to this question does not change. The answer to this question does not change. It remains the same. As long as the values that were added were constant, then the standard deviation is not going to be affected at all. The change is not going to cause an effect on the standard deviation. What is going to change is the mean. But the standard deviation is not going to change. Of course, we're going to have each player doing 5 more push-ups. Therefore, let me show you just quickly sharpen the pencil. Okay, so what they're saying is that each player now, okay, they have trained hard, right? So after training hard, now each player can do 5 more push-ups than they did or they was able to do previously. So for example, here, instead of doing 26 push-ups, this player was going to do 5 more, so 31. This one's going to do 5 more, so 26. This one 11. This one 25. This one 21. This one 31. This one 28. This one 12. 23, 19, 22, 13, 33, this one 33, not that, 30, and then this one 25. So this is the new number of push-ups that each player is going to do. Okay, so each player is going to do 5 more push-ups than they did already before, or that was able to do before. Okay, so now that we have added 5, the standard the mean is going to change. Therefore, the mean is not going to be 537 over 15. It is going to be 537 plus, because now they're able to do 5 more each. So each of them is able to do 5 more push-ups. But how many are they? There is 15 players. So each player out of the 15 is able to do 5 more push-ups. So we're going to say these numbers that you see here, they make a sum of 537. But if each player is able to do 5 more push-ups, we're going to have 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, 15 times. So that is why I say 5 times 15, right? So 5 times 15 is 45. Is it 45? 75. Yeah, it is 75. So sorry. So 5 times 15 is 75. Therefore, now the mean is going to be 537 plus 75. 537 plus 75, which is equal to 12, 11, and 6. Therefore, now the mean is going to be 612 over 15. This is going to be the new mean. That means the mean is going to change. But I promise you, the standard deviation is not going to change. I don't have the time to show you why the standard deviation is not going to change, okay? But maybe some other day in a different video, I'm going to show you how the standard deviation does not change. But from now on, you should know that every time they ask you this question and they say, how is this going to affect the standard deviation? It is not going to cause any effect on the standard deviation. Therefore, the standard deviation is not going to cause, it's not going to increase or it's not going to decrease. It is going to remain the same, okay? So they're saying, how does the increase in the number of push-ups influence the standard deviation? It does not influence it, okay? So we're either going to say no effect, or we're going to say no influence. Or we're going to say the standard deviation will remain the same. The standard deviation will remain the same. So every time they ask you this question, the answer do not change. Okay, the answer does not change when they ask you this question. The answer is still going to be the same. The standard deviation will remain the same. Now let's go to the last question for the video. I'm so sorry that this video is too long, but I had to make sure that I explain everything thoroughly. Anyway, and I hope that you're going to forgive me for the mistake that I did in question 1.4 about the mean. I also am a human being and I make mistakes, so I'm so sorry about that. But the mean is 35.8, not 32.98. Right, so let us get into the last question, which is why I made this video. So you're going to have to pay attention. At the beginning of the season, the coach used the least squares regression line as the minimum target for each player to aim for. So each player was aiming the minimum that the coach was setting, following the regression line. So remember that the regression line is y. Okay, this is the regression line. Where is it at? Okay, here. Y is equal to 39.46 minus 0.59x. Okay. So now they're saying at the beginning of the season, the coach used this regression line, right, as the minimum target for each player to aim for. Determine the maximum possible increase in the number of push-ups that each team member must obtain to reach this minimum target. Okay? So how many number of push-ups does each player need to increase by to be able to reach this minimum or this minimum target? Let me repeat that. The question says determine the number or determine the maximum possible increase in the number of push-ups that each team member must obtain to reach the minimum target. So each of these team members, forget about the fact that now they have added 5 more push-ups. That is if they said if they add 5 more push-ups. Okay, right? So remember that each player originally was able to do this number of push-ups, right? So how many number of push-ups is each player going to increase by to be able to reach the minimum? First of all, what is the minimum for each player? That is what we have to calculate. What is the minimum number of push-ups that the coach is expecting from each player according to the regression line? Let me repeat that. How many number of push-ups is the coach expecting each player to get according to the minimum? So what you're going to do is we're going to substitute wherever we see x, the weight of these 15 players, into this equation. Then determine the minimum number of push-ups that each player is expected to make. So what you're going to do is we're going to say the person or the player that was weighing 34 kilograms, how many push-ups was expected of him? The player that weighed 32 kilograms, how many push-ups was expected from him by the coach? The player that was weighing 40 kilograms, how many push-ups was expected by the coach from how many push-ups was expected from him? I'm so sorry. This English. Anyway, how many push-ups were expected by the coach from him? Or from him by the coach. Then for the one that was weighing 27 kilograms, so we're going to do that for all of them. How many push-ups were expected from each of them by the coach according to the linear regression? So we're going to find the y for each of this. Okay, we already know that this is the number of push-ups that they did, but what was expected by the coach? This is the number of push-ups that they can already do, but at least what is the minimum number of push-ups that the coach was expecting each of this to make? So we're going to calculate the y for each of those x values or for each of those weights. So let us go. So we're going to be like for 34, we're going to substitute 34 here, then 32, then 40, then 27, then 33. So for the sake of time and for the length of this video, I'm not gonna like do this manually. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just write down the number of push-ups that each player was expected to make. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is substitute wherever I see x, all of these values, and then I'm gonna write down the corresponding y values. Okay, so for the sake of time, I'm just gonna do that, and then I'm gonna write down the values respectively. Okay, so please just wait a second as I actually calculate that. You are also welcome to do the same, just to make sure that we're on the same page. So what you're going to do now is you're going to substitute wherever you see x, the weight, to calculate the number of push-ups that each player was expected to make by the coach. Okay, so I'm just going to cut the video and I'm going to calculate those and then write down the values here. So please excuse me for a second. You know what? I've actually decided to show you this because I know that there's certain learners that are going to need to know how we're going to do this, okay? So we're going to substitute, like I said, we're going to substitute the value of x, which are the weights of the players, into the equation to determine the corresponding y values. That means the minimum number of push-ups that was expected by the coach, that was expected from them, by the coach to actually do them, right? So what you're going to do is, just to be accurate, I want to make sure that I don't convert nothing. So instead of saying 39.46, then minus 0.59 multiplied by all of those x values, this is converted form because 39.6 is converted and 0.59 is converted. What I'm going to do is, I'm just going to substitute the values, the exact values of A and B. So what I'm going to do is shift and then 1 and then go to the regression line and then say A. I know that A is 39.46, but this one is not converted. Then I'm going to say plus and then B. So these two are not converted, okay? But I know that B has to multiply the x. So first of all, I'm going to multiply 34, which is the first weight of the player, right? So I'm going to substitute 34. So we have 19.39, which is 20, okay? So we're going to have to note it down, okay? So we're going to have 20, and then after 34, we're going to have 32. So 32 goes with 21, and then 40 goes with 16, and then 27 goes with 24, and then 33 goes with 20, and then 28 goes with 23, and then 27 goes with 24, and then 55 goes with 7, and then 39 goes with 17, and 44 14, 30 come on 30, 22, 57, 6, 28, 23, 32, 21, 31, 22. Okay, now that we have actually gotten the minimum number of push-ups that a coach has expected each of the player to make, we're going to write down the new push-ups, that is the minimum, into the table, and then we're going to compare, and then we're going to calculate the number of push-ups that each player must increase by to reach the minimum. I hope that we are clear. So I'm going to go back to the book and write down the values. So please excuse me for a second. Alright, so this is the values that we have calculated together when I was showing my calculator on the screen, and we said that 34 goes with 20, 32, 21, 40, 16, and so on, right? So this is the minimum number of push-ups that the coach was expecting for each player to actually make, right? So we're going to check how many number of push-ups does each player need to increase by to be able to reach the minimum, unless the player has already reached the minimum. For example, let us go into the first one. So the first one did 26. He was expected to make 20. That means he already reached the minimum. This one was expected to make, he made 21. He was expected to make 21. So that means this one is right. So we're going to cancel the ones that are right. Okay, so this one has reached the minimum. This one has reached the minimum. This one made 6, but he was expected to make 60. Okay, he made 6. According to the standard deviation, or according to the regression line, and according to the coach, he was expected to make 16. So that means how many push-ups was he supposed to increase by to be able to reach the minimum of 16? That means from his 6, he's supposed to add 10 number of push-ups to be able to reach 16. So that means the increase is going to be 10 for this player. Okay, so here's going to be the increase. How many push-ups does each player need to increase by? So this one need increase by 10. This one was expected to make 24. He made 20. That means he need to increase by 4. This one was expected to make 20. He made 60. That means he needs to increase by 4. This one was expected to make 23. He made 26. That means he reached the minimum. This one was expected to make 24. He made 23. That means he needs to increase by 1. This one was expected to make 7. He made 7. So that means he reached the minimum or the target. From now on, I'm going to say the target. Anyway, this one was expected to make 17. He made 18. That means he reached the target. This one was expected to make 14. He made 14. That means he reached the target. This one was expected to make 22. He made 17. That means he needs to increase by 5. This one was expected to make 6. He made 8. That means he reached the target. This one was expected to make 23. He made 28. That means he reached the target. This one was expected to make 21. He made 25. That means he reached the target. This one was expected to make 22. And he made 20. That means he reached the target. Not really that he reached the target. He needs to increase by 2. So this one needs to increase the number of push-ups by 2. So these players here. So these players that you see here. These players. This one. This one. And this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players. So 6 players needs to increase the number of push-ups, though they were not able to reach the minimum target. Okay, so they were not able to reach the minimum target. The question asks, determine the maximum possible increase in the number of push-ups that each team member must obtain to reach the minimum target. So we're going to do that. This one was needs to increase by 10. This one needs to increase by 4. This one by 4. This one by 1. This one by 5. This one by 2. So each player of the ones that were not able to reach the minimum needs to increase by their specific number of push-ups. So the question is asking, determine the maximum possible increase in the number of push-ups that each player must actually be increased by to be able to reach the minimum. So the possible maximum is 10. So this one is actually expected to increase by 4, this one by 4, this one by 5, this one by 5, this one by, and this one by 1, this one by 5, and this one by 2. But the one that needs to increase by the maximum possible value is the one that was weighing 40 kilograms. Because it needs to increase by 10. So an increase, that is the maximum. The maximum increase, that is the maximum possible increase, or the possible maximum increase is 10. Okay, so the possible maximum increase is 10. And I promise you, a lot of learners are not able to get this question right, or they don't understand how to get it because they don't understand what is really happening here. So you need to understand first what is really happening in this question to be able to answer this question. So I hope that I've actually explained in a way that you understand. So the maximum possible increase is 10. Of course, we have different increases in the number of push-ups for these players to be able to reach the minimum, but the maximum possible increase is 10. We have different increases, but the maximum possible is 10. So that means the answer is 10. And that is how we get our 2 marks, and that is how we collect our 10 marks, and we get the total in this question. So that means the maximum possible increase is 10. So let us write it down. The maximum possible increase is equal to 10. So 1.6, if you just write 10, you're going to be given full 2 marks, because there is no way you will have gotten 10 without actually going through all of this trouble. So they must actually give you full marks, because there is no way possible that you're going to be able to answer this question correctly if you're not going to go through this trouble. So they must give you full marks, because they have to assume that you have went through this trouble. So even if you don't show them how you've gotten the 10 and you just write down 10, you're still going to be giving your full marks. But how to work it out, this is how we do it. Okay, so I hope that I've actually helped you. Now you have an insight of how to answer this type of questions. And if there's any type of question or topic that you want me to make videos about, please let me know, and I'm going to be at your service regarding that. Okay, so you just need to request or ask, and I'm going to be at your service regarding that. All right, so yeah, I hope that you've actually enjoyed the video and it's been helpful. If there's any questions that you have, you're welcome to let me know in the comment section. But if there's none, then we're going to meet again in the next video, and where I'm going to be doing the same topic or maybe a different one, depending on how I feel and depending on the number of requests per topic or per question that I have received. Okay, so yeah, thank you very much for watching this video to the end, and I hope that it has been helpful. See you in the next video.